Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. And this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 5, otherwise entitled All Dolled Up. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, let's actually watch that trailer.
Did you see his face? He was wearing some sort of mask.
Who do you think's this next victim?
He kidnapped Barry.
Let's go save the Flash.
The Flash, all new Tuesday, November 13th on the CW.
So yeah, this episode looks a bit too spooky for me and too spooky for you, and it is surprising that this isn't the Halloween episode. Like, it would have been better if it was like this week's episode, I guess, just because of the villain and stuff like that. But speaking of this week's episode, it was a very solid episode, arguably the best episode of the season. Like, I don't think you could really say that anything was bad. Sure, some things weren't perfect and maybe a bit forced. I think that's probably the best word to use, forced, in regards to stuff that happened in this episode, especially between Iris and Nora. That's because they had to do it. Like, they had to reveal what was going on with them. So things did feel forced, like maybe Iris going to the stadium and just certain things and how they happened. So that's probably the best word to use in regards to that, forced. But there was nothing bad about episode 4. And I think if I had to make a judgment on it, I think that was the best episode of the season. But it does feel like the only thing that will carry on from last episode into this episode will be the stuff between Nora and Iris. I don't think we'll get much Cicada. I think this episode is purely going to be filler, to be completely honest. But before we jump into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly go over the synopsis or description for this episode, as it does give us a better idea as to what's going on with certain characters that isn't really highlighted in the trailer. But of course, before that, do let me know in the comment section down below what, piques your interest in this episode from this trailer. And I'm pretty sure about 99.7% of the comments are going to be the exact same thing, and they involve a red-haired dude with a mask. But yeah, just let me know all of your opinions in the comment section down below in regards to this trailer. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Nora lets something slip about the future that devastates Iris. In an attempt to distract his wife, Barry asks Iris to team up to stop a new meta, Ragdoll. Meanwhile, Caitlin learns something about her father. So the first thing to point out before we jump into anything about the trailer or the synopsis is that this episode isn't out until November 13th. That's when this episode will air. It's taking a 1-week break because of the US election on November 6th. All the other DC shows, I think maybe not Black Lightning, are on next week, but Flash is not on. So it's a bit of a bummer, but it's okay because when it comes back, then Supergirl, Arrow, and the Flash will all be on episode 5. So it lines up going into the crossover in episode 9. So I guess that's the positive out of it all. But just quickly on that synopsis with Nora, in regards to them saying about her, letting something slip from the future that devastates Iris, they could be referring to the events of episode 4, seeing that this synopsis was released before episode 4 came out. That can sometimes be the case. We've seen it happen in the past. If not, it will be interesting to see what else is said in this episode by Nora that devastates Iris and basically breaks her. But I think they might be referring to last, the episode that aired yesterday, or episode 4. Because another thing to point out from the trailer is something that's not there. And what's that? Nora. There's literally no Nora in the trailer, and that's surprising coming from this season because Nora is one of their big pushing points and something they are just trying to shove in everyone's faces. So the fact that there is no Nora in this trailer is pretty surprising. I think she will make an appearance, but I think it's going to be very small because it does just sound like this episode's going to be, outside of all of that. But it will be interesting, to see if she plays a part in this episode. But we start off with the actual trailer with our first look at Ragdoll coming out of this gift box. It's not Christmas like this because we've picked up from where season 4 ended. We will be in June or July. So it's probably just a birthday gift, but it could possibly be Christmas in July. Maybe there's a Christmas in July celebration going on. I don't know. Now, Ragdoll is played by Troy James. That's the actor's name. Now, he's a real contortionist, and he was on America's Got Talent. So here's a quick clip of his skills, if you want to call them. So yeah, enjoy those nightmares. But I am extremely intrigued to see the various things he can do. We see him, as I said, coming out of that box. We also see him come out of a chimney, I think it is. Oh, it's just insane. It's going to be just a bit frightening, and it just makes you think, like, why wasn't this the Halloween episode? Like, you just gotta think, man, missed opportunity. But one of the things that I really liked seeing in this trailer, a lot of people might have missed it, but that's seeing Iris doing investigative reporting and investigative journalism. She's going to this crime scene and asking various questions and, investigating, which is good, because one worry I've had going more and more into this season is that maybe the journalism thing that they promised this season wasn't going to be a thing. Candace Patton in an interview didn't flat out say it, but definitely hinted that the journalism thing wasn't that big of a thing this season, and maybe it was a bit misconstrued by the other producers on the show. But if we get some of it and there is just some progression there, then I'm happy, because, as I said, Iris has been at a bit of a standstill and just her character development since, I would say, season 2. Some in season 3, but not a lot. So this storyline going forward is obviously extremely positive, and hopefully we just see more of it. Maybe not every single episode, because I don't think we're going to get that. That'd be, wishful thinking. But, just consistently throughout the season is a positive in my books. But we do see Barry attacked in his home by Ragdoll in an extremely creepy way. God knows how, or Bebo knows how, might I say, Ragdoll's going to get into Barry's house. It's going to be extremely interesting and probably creepy. Now, I did see some people saying that he got stabbed. He just got hit over the head. I thought I'd just point that out. He's just been hit over the head, just, knocked out. I guess it's questionable that the Flash is getting knocked out from behind. Surely he would have some senses or something. I know it's not Spidey sense, but just some sort of sense to figure out that someone's in his house or something. But I don't know. Just a quick thing, Cisco is back for this episode. We do see him in a quick shot here in Star Labs, where you have Caitlin, Sherlock, and Ralph there as well. I don't know if Cisco's going to be doing much this episode. I think he's just going to be laying back, but just helping from within Star Labs, I'm guessing. Another questionable thing done with Barry in this episode is that he's held by tape here. I did see a lot of people going what the hell, this is extremely stupid. How can you hold the flashback by tape? Well, I'm pretty sure he has meta dampener cuffs on here. You can see a blue light on his hands. I will put an arrow there if you can't see it. But there's a blue light sort of emitting onto his hands. So maybe he tries to use the meta cuffs on Ragdoll, or someone else tries to use the meta cuffs on Ragdoll at one point earlier on in this episode. Fails, and Ragdoll takes the meta cuffs and keeps them. And if we go back to that shot where Barry's actually hit over the head, or over the back of the head, I'm pretty sure he's hit over the back of the head by the metahuman cuffs, which would make sense. Ragdoll probably hit him, put the meta cuffs on, and it's easy to transport the fastest man alive. Now, we do see in this trailer that the elongated man and Iris are actually going to be, going to take on Ragdoll, because the Flash is incapacitated. He is basically their damsel in distress, if you want to call him. So it's going to be them two that goes after him. Now, we were saying this when we were first talking about Ragdoll coming onto the show, that it'd be extremely cool to see Ralph take on Ragdoll. We just thought it'd be something that we thought we would see, and that would happen due to not their similar abilities, but just their abilities. So Ralph can obviously elongate and make different shapes and stuff, and Ragdoll can just twist and turn his body into just ridiculously disgusting positions. So we always thought that this would be a cool matchup, and that's exactly what we're getting. So I guess this is fan service. Now, it will be interesting to see what scene we get between these two. Is it going to be just a battle where they're all twisting shapes and stuff like that? Or is it going to be more in-depth, maybe in a really tight space, like an air vent or something? That'd be pretty cool, because having these two, shapeshifters, if you want to call them almost, in an open space would be a bit boring. I think it'd be cool if it was in a really confined space, like an air vent or something, that would match their abilities. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that would be cool, but I think that would match the matchup, if that makes sense. But regardless of whatever the fight is, I think it should be interesting regardless. Another thing to point out from this is that Iris and Ralph should be teaming up more outside of just this metahuman battling that we're seeing in this episode, because you got to remember, Ralph's a detective, Iris is a reporter. That could really go hand in hand, especially in regards to Iris moving forward with her reporter storyline. Ralph helping her out would be a massive thing. So I really hope that these two actually do team up on the outside as well, because as I said, I think Barry and Nora, once all this family drama is done, I don't think Iris is that necessary to that storyline anymore. So I think teaming her up with Ralph, maybe Sherlock as well, but specifically Ralph, because he is a main character that would have a storyline as well. So teaming them two up would be a great move. And we do know that Ralph's meant to be like sort of like setting up his own business. So maybe like, you know, Iris could be involved with that. Not necessarily as like a partner, but just like a third party in regards to stuff that he does. So that'd be pretty cool. And then, you know, Iris can use Ralph as a source in various articles that she decides to use on her blog and the future newspaper if that, you know, happens this season, which would be surprising, but you never know. And the last thing I want to talk about is in regards to Kayla. Now, there's not much of Kayla in this trailer because it is really focusing on Ragdoll. But as the synopsis does say, Kaylin is going to, you know, learn something about her father, which is going to be very interesting, obviously. But it's not really about this episode. It's more about next episode because that's the big episode for her. Episode 6, I think it's called The Icicle Cometh. I think that's the actual title of the episode. So obviously that's going to be the episode where Kaylin's father is like properly introduced. Now, that might not be where we first meet him because they could use the end of this episode, episode 5, as sort of like a cliffhanger. So we could see her father, Kaylin could walk into a room and see someone, and like it picks up in episode 6 and it's her father and, well, Kaylin talking to each other. But we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a cliffhanger in regards to that. However, they could leave it with a cliffhanger with like Cicada or something in this episode if they want to. But, you know, it's going to be interesting to see that Kaylin's story progress even further because once her father comes in, that's where it's really going to hit into overdrive rather than like the small steps it's been making early on in this season. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your general thoughts on the trailer on a scale of 1 to 10. How spooked out are you by Ragdoll? Because for me, he's too spooky for me. Like, I'm already getting the heebie-jeebies from just looking at him. So let me know all of your opinions in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.